So we got some new tracking for the opening weekend for Superman. And I know a lot of people are a little concerned. Some people are, not everybody. And I brought this up a couple weeks ago when we heard that first tracking from I don't know, some weird website that was like, oh, tracking for Superman's like 175, 180, something like that. And I was like, guys, this is early tracking. Keep that in mind, but this is exciting. I did say it was exciting to hear, but it was early tracking. It was very early tracking. But here we sit, a few weeks out. Deadline is showing that Superman hits tracking with 90 million to 125 million US opening. Okay, that's not bad. That is not bad because again, that's roughly what I would expect. That is roughly what I would expect. Okay. But here's the thing, that's not the only one. I thought I pulled that up too, but I did not, I guess. Hollywood Reporter is tracking for 135 million. So which one is accurate? Which one is accurate? Well, if you're a little confused on why there's two different trackings, let me kind of lay it out for you a little bit. All right. So we'll look at the Hollywood Reporter first. Hollywood Reporter says with 3 weeks left to go, James Gunn and Superman is tracking to open in the $135 million range at the domestic box office. If that forecast is right, Superman would land high up on the list of DC openings, although it would lag well behind the 166 for 2016's Batman vs. Superman, not adjusted for inflation. At the same time, it would come in safely ahead of the last solo Superman movie, which was Man of Steel at 116. The 135 million status from leading tracker service National Research Group. According to sources with access to the data, NRG always provides a range in addition to a solo number. In this case, the range for Superman's domestic opening is 125 to 145. Tracking is hardly a science, and projections have been notably off in number of instances from all services. All services. To that end, insiders at DC Studios and Warner's are being more conservative in suggesting 90 million to 125, although anything less than 100 million might be seen as a blemish. Okay, I'm going to stop there because at this point they just start talking about like the comparisons to other movies. The leading research group, which is NRG, National Research Group, is putting Superman at 125 to 145. All right, 125 to 145 for the 3-day weekend. That is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's not Thursdays. That's not the 8th. That's not anything that opens up on the 9th. So that's not the 8th, 9th, or 10th. Anything that happens on the 8th, 9th, or 10th is not included there. Keep that in mind. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is that number. 125 million to 145 million. Keep that in mind. That is their number. Now, like Deadline is reporting, which is right down here, the 90 to 125, that 90 to 125 is what DC Studios and Warner's is leaning towards. Now, why are they doing that? Why are they leaning that way? Why do they lean lower? They do it for a couple of reasons. One of the big reasons is they're investors and they're stockholders and things like that. They don't want to over judge a film. They don't want to sit there and over track a film and piss off their investors and such. That's one of the reasons. Two, they're going to keep their expectations kind of in check. They know what movie they have. They are fully confident in this movie. They're very confident in this movie. That's why they're showing it on the 8th. That's why they are doing all the different things that they're doing, showing 30 minutes of it to all these places that they're traveling around at, doing all these different promotions and like all this stuff they're doing. They have all the confidence in this movie, more confidence than I think any studio has had in a movie in a long, long, long time. They have confidence in this film. So them sitting back and saying, you know what, this movie can make 90 to 125. That's not them saying we don't have confidence. That's not them saying this movie's not going to do well. No, they're sitting back, one, and they're saying themselves, because studios have their own tracking systems. They have their own people who sit there and track films. They also utilize different companies. There are many companies out there and systems who will sit out there, and services who will sit out there and track these things. Okay. It's not a perfect science. There's many different things that you take a look at with this kind of stuff. Yes, the leading one is NRG. That's the one that a lot of people look at and talk about all the time, but it's not always accurate. It's not always accurate to go by what the studio says. And there's a lot of times when a movie can track really high and it makes really low. There's a movie that can track really low and it can make really high. Again, it's not a perfect science. Am I sitting here worried? Not even a little. My true estimates for Superman are about 120, 130 high end is what I'm thinking for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, that absolutely could jump to that 145, 150 if, say, that 8th and 10th, those early screenings, word of mouth just gets out there and people love it. And people love it, love it, love it. And people will be like, well, damn, I guess I'm going to see Superman instead of Jurassic Park or Jurassic World or whatever it is. But I suspect 120 to 130, 140, that makes a lot of sense. And that's not anything to balk at. Not at all. That's not anything to balk at all. That is actually very admirable. In this climate, when it comes to superhero films, that is not anything to balk at. Word of mouth, which is the talk of the town, that is the phrase of the summer, it seems, that is absolutely going to be what drives Superman. Yes, it is. Let's not forget that Superman has a lot of baggage. It has to rid itself of the old Snyderverse. It has to rid itself of the old DCEU. It has to rid itself of all that crap. So people need to be told this is not that. This is something new. This is something fun. This is something hopeful. This is something exciting. So people need to be told that before they go see it. That's why my expectations are $700 to $800 million. That's reasonable. That makes sense. That's a successful film. Now, mind you, if the movie were to suck, if it sucks, and it makes less than $100 million, it makes $80 million. Yeah, I'd be a little worried. I would be kind of worried. But I don't see that happening. I think there's so much hype around it. We've seen that these pre-ticket sales, we've seen what, like almost $20 million already in pre-ticket sales for anything before the weekend, essentially. So right there, if they're tracking alone for 90 to 120, let's say they make 110, 120 between the weekend and the early viewings, you're looking at $140 million right there within the first 5 days. And that's damn solid. That's just domestically. That's solid. And then you add in the potential for the overseas, the international, making another 1 to 200. You're looking at almost 400, nearly 400. We'll say 350 to be on the conservative side. 350 in its first weekend. That's not bad. And if the word of mouth is good, week 2, you're looking at maybe another 250, 300 in week 2. Like, come on. And that's combined. I'm talking about domestically and international on week 2. That's not bad. Not bad at all. And you can't forget about all the walk-ins, the people, that once they hear on, and when I say walk-ins, I'm talking about Monday through Friday. So you're looking at possibly another, 10 million, 15 million during the week, maybe. I'm not worried for this movie financially. I know a lot of people want to drum up this fake narrative that it's scary. You got to be scared about what this movie's going to make financially. Woo! There's no reason to be afraid. This movie's going to do fine. It's absolutely going to do fine. There's no reason to be afraid. I think these numbers, we may see them go up in the next week, Next week, they may jump up. The week after, maybe even go up even higher. Who knows? But if you ask me, this is right around what I'm seeing, imagining. That's what I would figure. I think it's a good number. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you excited? Do you think these are accurate numbers? 135 from the what is it? NRG, NGR, NRG, and then DC Studios and Warner saying more like 90 to 125. What are your thoughts? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button.